Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, and this is a show where we hang out and we talk about games, primarily role-playing games, in ways that games inspire beauty and truth and goodness in us, make us more empathetic, make us better humans. Hopefully. That's always the goal, right? And last week we talked about critical traditions and the need for us as people to gather around a table and to hang out and to be in each other's lives, and how I have done this for 10 years now with a group of friends, about 8 to 12 guys, depending on who actually shows up each year. And that's what we call our total party con, our TPK. And we had a great one, I felt like. Last encounter was a little rough. All of us came in pretty hot to this weekend. It has been a stressful year all around for the TPK goers. And I mean, myself included, right? I just got back into my house less than a month ago, had the AC go out the 2 weeks before TPK, got a bit of a stomach bug at TPK, but I figured I would take some time, do a recap, do a breakdown of how it went, lessons learned, and what we're doing going forward. But before that, we've been doing the Other Worlds Than These, where I post about 2 prompts a week on the Iconic channel, and every 2 weeks we send out a prize to people who have been a part of this. And this week's prize is actually sponsored by Kevin Simbita over at Palladium Books. And Jason, I will post this on the chats, but Jason, you won for the last 2 weeks. 2-week posts that you put together, and I just want to say, thank you for being a part of that. So I'll get your information. I'll reach out on Discord, and I will set you get your information over to Kevin. I don't know what he's sending you, but he said he would send you something cool. So thanks for participating. So yeah, TPK, about 9 of us descended on a large fancified barn in Garland, Texas, where we spent, let's see here, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days of gaming with a little bit of padding on either end. Ate some amazing food, some Texas brisket. I perfected my smash burger recipe. Good times all around, good whiskey, good snacks, good friends, good fellowship. We played Savage World Pathfinder. And what's interesting about that is we went back to a world called Tanar, and it feels like about every 4 years we return back to my world of Tanar, which is what the world that we played in when we brought the group together. I would say Tanar now has like half of the TPKs have taken place in Tanar. And so it was really cool to sit back and reminisce about all of the TPKs. We sat and talked about kind of our favorite memories from each of them. As the game went on, I was trying to kind of balance plot threads left over, cameos by old characters and enemies, and it ran really well. And I would say that for the most part, Savage Worlds worked really well with 8 people, which is surprising to me. It did get a little bogged down in the final fight, and that was partially the player's fault, no longer arguing for hindrances, no longer making skill rolls to see, hey, why is this creature regenerating? Is there a way we can get around it? Part of that was me as well. What's interesting about Pathfinder for Savage Worlds is the math is so tight that even 2 points of armor difference can make a fight go from I can hit this reliably to a slog. And so it was interesting to kind of see all of that play out. And I will say, like, I had an amazing time, and everybody's excited for next year. We're putting together kind of a list of thoughts from the first decade of TPK, and like, what can we pull together and change and push forward to make sure the next decade of TPK is even better. But one of the great things about this weekend is the fact that, again, this is a group of friends who for a decade have been coming together once a year to play for a weekend. And sure, one of us when I say we came in hot, one of us lost our job right before the TPK started. Like Monday morning, found out, was let go. Another person was only able to show up for like 2 half days because they had so many other things they were trying to get done this weekend between multiple jobs and speaking engagements. It was a stressful time. And I watched as the weekend went. The first day, it took about 2 hours to relax and get back into the rhythm of things. And then we had 2 solid days of gaming. And that includes, like, even, like I said, I caught some sort of stomach bug and was not at my best. And I think that's partially what contributed to kind of the ending fight, which left a little sour taste in my mouth, at least. We were all exhausted at that point. So these are things that, these are not features, or these are not bugs, these are features. Because I can go to this group and we're going to hang out in December and do a post-mortem of the first decade. We're going to be able to go to each other and say, hey, this is still something. Like, everybody left going, I can't wait for next year. And I'm like, excellent. So that means we have to make some decisions of how we're going to approach next year's TPK. And probably the 2 most wonderful moments of TPK were when my group went, hey, we should all hold hands and jump through this magical portal, which is a reference to Tinker Hellraiser playing in games with us. And the fact that everyone learned that if your dice aces and then rolls a 1, you've John Doomed it. And so that was part of the fun, is sharing some of these gaming traditions that I have with players in my groups. Good morning to Ross and John Doom. John Doom, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to come hang out. We're leaving tomorrow. I leave tomorrow for Gamehole Con, and I get to see John and Matthias the Realm Builder, and Tracy's going to be there from Han Cluster, and obviously Rick from Chaosium, and Steven and Grace from Trollord Games. All of these people that I enjoy seeing and hanging out with at Gamehole Con. I'm going to get to meet up with a buddy of mine who I only get to see once a year because he lives in Madison. Looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll go to that burger spot. Spivey, if you're watching, I want that burger place again. John Doom is already on the ground, scoping out the land, like some sort of advanced scout, like an orc infestation. He's spreading spores everywhere, so there will be more John Dooms for the inevitable recapturing of a Gamehole Con. But, John, got to get into that game hole early. You definitely don't want to get in there too late. So I'm not allowed to make T-shirts for Gamehole Con. I have not been legally told not to, but I've been asked not to repeatedly. So yeah, TPK 10 was great. It was good. One of the interesting things we talk about, creating tradition. And it was great to see the traditions kind of align. And right, you do something once and it's fun. You do something twice and it may be a coincidence because you managed to pull this group together twice. But year after year, it was amazing. It was as if all of the stress melted off and we were suddenly just back to hanging out as friends, playing these games. We fell into the rhythm of I was cooking and other people were helping me clean up. Common jokes, common rivalries reasserted themselves. Everybody was always being super helpful. Hey, I'm getting up to get a drink. Who needs something? I'm going to go do this. Who needs something? Do we need to run and make a run? And the thing is, the traditions have changed. When we started this 10 years ago, I was a much younger man. But also, I didn't have any of the health issues that I do since bacterial meningitis. And what's interesting is I still feel guilty about having to take 2 hours out of the middle of our game day, or end an hour earlier than I used to. And what I discovered is, hey, we're all 10 years older. Everyone loves mid-afternoon nap time. It's a new tradition. Like, people take a little nap, they doze, they break out into small groups and just reconnect. And it is a wonderful thing. I know that Tink is planning her own TPK-esque event, and I wish her well. And I hope it's the first of a multi-year tradition. TPK 10 is over. That's 10 years of about 210 hours of gaming is our estimate of how many hours we've gamed together, just this group, for the last 10 years. And nobody is like, I don't want to come back again, or like, this is just something I can't afford to do. We're all talking about TPK 11, and most people just arrive back home Sunday or Monday. I wish this kind of camaraderie and annual tradition for all of you. If you feel like this is something you want to get involved in, start one of your own. Like, start something, start small. Maybe a one-day weekend once a quarter, or a one-day all-day gaming event once a year. See who wants to show up. And the best part is, the group that I have now is not the group I started with. We've had 3 or 4 players just not be able to make it for 5 or 6 years, and we've had 3 or 4 new players come in and take their spots. The spaghetti you throw at the wall for your first tradition starting event may not be the event, it may not be the group, but you'll find 1 or 2 people that you can build upon for next time. And there is something about the rhythm and pulling that all together that is just an amazing and wonderful event. Yep, John Doom, get in early, get in deep, go have fun shoved up, down, in your game hole. I'm not exactly sure where the game hole is located on the body, but I'm sure the people at the con can tell us. Yes, Tink will be out there as well. We're going to get to play. I think we're signed up for 1 or 2 of Chris Valentine's games. John Doom, are you playing in any Pharaoh Mist this weekend? Bye, Tink. Yeah, and not just the camaraderie, but the fellowship. At this point, this is a group of friends that I honestly believe, had I died, someone else would have taken up the TPK goal, if that makes sense. In fact, it was explained to me that the year that I went into the hospital and I was trying, I was recovering, and it was September, and I was like, guys, are we still doing, I'm still down for doing TPK. If you guys are down for doing TPK, there was apparently a whole discussion of, is this good for JM? Is this going to stress out his system too much? And the general consensus was, if it's too much and he dies, at least he'll die doing what he loves. And I did not know that, and I appreciated them for that. Ross, the shed was a huge blessing. 2 of my players, Mark, who's always on, or often on the chat, and my best friend Brad, came down, and Ben, who's often in the chat, the 3 of them took apart or lifted up my old shed. I have kind of a sheet metal shed that you would get at Home Depot. And when we originally built it, I wanted to put a platform down, but we were kind of like, the move had overtaxed us. And so we were like, oh, well, it's probably going to be fine because we're used to Colorado where there's no moisture. Well, at this point, after 3 years of not going in the shed because of my health, and just not needing to go mow the lawn or not being able to do, kind of home repairs myself, we went in there and it was moldy and rusty. And so the 4 of them, my wife included, went through everything. Their, WD-40 what needed to be WD-40'd, and Brad and Trish and Mark and Ben elevated the shed. I'll post some pictures on the Discord. They elevated the shed on concrete blocks and built a floor for it, and then a set of braces to keep the floor together, and then remounted the shed, and it looks beautiful. You should. Here's the thing, John Doom. I don't watch a lot of news, so if I'm going to be yelling at anything, it's going to be at bad rule books or awful comics. Not so much the news. Yeah, that's why I'm such a happy and generally stress-free person. That's right, Ross. Let's let him die doing what he loves. It was also they all felt like I needed it. And I'll be honest, I did. I didn't know if I was still going to be able to run games. I didn't know where my brain was going to be at. I didn't know how my health would work. And thankfully, two of the players, Brad has a house right up the street from here. Two of the players brought like all of their 40K stuff, so that like when I hit a wall and had to go to sleep, they all went over to Brad's and played 40K. And it was one of the top TPKs. It was wonderful to just kind of be back in there. And again, like John Doob said, have the fellowship. So that's it. We're off the rest of this week because I will be at GameholeCon. I leave tomorrow. I get back Monday, but I will be back next week with two regularly scheduled behind the screens. And I have a ton, and I do mean a ton, of Beyond the Tables. I'm hoping to have Steven Chenault back on in November. I'm going to have an interview with DM Blackwell of Horde Wars. And the Black Lodge Games guys are coming back on the show next week. So I'll make sure that I post a schedule and keep everyone alerted. Me too, Ross. I'm really glad that it went well. And of course, we're going to have more new Helios City. Once I get the world's largest dungeon edits off my desk, that is my focus for the rest of the year. And I cannot wait to put this document together. So thanks to Ross for all the help that he has been as excited about this as I am. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I'm JM. I will see you all later. Until next time, have a good one, everybody.